My name is Joshua, and I am the Tribune. First, before anything, I have to dispel and crumble a satanic myth that I've heard too often, that God is a crutch. Now, for anybody who's saying that God is a crutch and they believe this would be like you going to visit an emperor and looking at his scepter and saying, that's a cane. You have that jeweled cane because you're so weak and you can't stand up and you need to walk with it, and that's your cane. That would be the hugest disrespect ever, and I argue that he would deal very harshly with you if you walked into his palace and said that. This is how horrifying it is when people believe that God is a crutch, because it speaks to the fact that you think that he's only used and his relationship is only good for people who are so weak and horrible and just can't do anything at all. That is the most stupidest thing ever, because it's absolutely not true. Now, I understand why, if somebody thinks that, I understand why you think that. The reason why you think that is because you don't really see God's true power in the earth right now. All the Christians that you see are believing God for things that Satan's children, who don't believe in God at all, they have without even needing God. Cars, houses, yachts, planes, trips, promotions, the highest level positions in the highest level companies in the world, whatever. All that stuff is banal. Now, that's why I understand why you believe this, because you see that. But this is why this new era that's coming, that's dawning right now, all these myths will be put into the fire. Because the world will see how powerful our God is through the relationship that he has with his friends and his generals, and what comes out of that relationship. Now, I'm a Christian, obviously. And I can tell you that anything I tell people that I'm believing God for, it doesn't matter who they are, people who have millions of dollars that I've personally talked to myself and told them what I'm believing God for, they're dumbfounded. People who have even relationships with billionaires and anything else, everybody's dumbfounded by what I have to say about God and what I'm believing God's going to do in my life and is doing right now. They can't believe it because it is so beyond anything that they would be absolutely insane to look at me and respond as, God is a crutch to you. No, because I'm powerful in my own right. I am not a weak person. I am a powerful person already. But my human foolishness of power and strength is ridiculously, I can't even say weak compared to God. It's absolutely nothing compared to God's power. And I've figured this out. I have realized that God's power is so beyond anything that I've had to come and meet him where he's trying to talk to me. He has surpassed all of my highest thoughts. He has surpassed all of my highest ambitions. He has surpassed in his conversations and planning with me anything I could ever dream of, so much so that I actually cannot carry forth his missions without his divine supernatural power, not only preparing it, but standing with me in the moment and going way ahead of me and clearing the way so that I can actually be obedient, take each step, and operate in what my purpose is. Because he's so beyond anything. This is why God is absolutely not a crutch, and he's very, very upset that that people in the world could even think to say that about him is unbelievable. This is why there is a new order that's going to be coming in the spiritual Christian world and in the world altogether, which is God's friends. Because anybody who once thought that God is a crutch will absolutely be totally dumbfounded, and their mouths are going to be totally shut. Now, I want to encourage people to start seeing God as something that, how can I even explain this? See, you see how it's hard to even articulate how you should be trying to look at God. Let's just say that it's not that you need to look at him and think, oh, well, if I'm so weak in this area, I need to just lean on him and he'll just kind of just help me survive, just like everybody else. No, it's absolutely foolish. When you work with God, you should be striving for higher than the highest human alive, and anything they're thinking about as an ambition or a goal. You should be so thinking about how high God is thinking and how high his purpose is and how much he wants to show his power through you, that even when you're attacked or you're going through a situation that would crumble somebody else completely, you actually advance in those kind of situations. That's another reason why I think it's so funny when I have heard people say that, oh, God is a crutch. Not to me. They say it just in general. And I think one of the things I think is, wow, you haven't gone through too much. Because I guarantee you, if I give you even 5% of my weight, you would be totally crushed. Just 5%. 5%. So when I say that I'm leaning on God, I'm talking about leaning on God to help me conquer something and persevere through something that most people would absolutely fall apart over within minutes. And that's why I think it's very interesting when people say, oh, he's just a crutch because you can't handle it. You can't handle life, so you're just, you need God because you can't handle what I can handle. No, you can't handle what I can handle because I'm covered by the God of the universe. These things are going to come out. He hides them on purpose because he is going to dumbfound people all over the world who are looking at his friends thinking that they're weak and that they're working with a weak God. That's never going to, no. They're going to be totally dumbfounded. And then he is going to take some of that weight that would, just a little bit of it, because that's enough. And he's going to allow the people who think he's a crutch to feel that. And I guarantee you they'll be on their face trying to find God for 5% of the weight. But he's going to be transferring over that weight now to the people who thought he was a crutch, while he elevates the people who were his friends, who knew that he's not a crutch, that he's something so much higher that we can't even articulate his power. This brings me to my next point. People have looked at me personally and thought that I'm arrogant. This is not true. I'm boastful in God's power, not myself, because I should be. Because God is so awesome, God is so powerful, that if I'm working for him, I stand under that umbrella. That means that I am working in that same amount of power. Now, the moment I say it's my power, now I'm arrogant. But I am so confident in God's power that if you were to talk to me just like you are right now, you would think I was arrogant and boastful. And I'm telling you that I am absolutely boastful in God's power. Now, it's funny because a lot of these people out here who would think that what I just said is ridiculous, they grovel at these humans who have a little bit of money. And when I say a little bit, I'm talking about billions. They grovel at these people, a little bit of power, owning these companies, and they just want to just grovel like tiny little rats. But then they think that if I'm trying to get in a relationship with God, I need a crutch. When you are groveling and bowing down to something that is a piece of dust. And if they don't give you what you want and they don't help you, you crumble and fall out. And if people, there's some people also who think that, oh, well, I don't do that. Yeah, well, but you're not aiming for anything. You're aiming for nothing. You like your comfort, and you are just having this boring life that you don't need you're not looking for anything. So I'm not really talking to you. I'm talking to people who are saying that God is a crutch while they're groveling towards true crutches, which are people who couldn't even be worthy as a crutch for you because they can't hold you up. Not for real things. So all the people who, I just have my own thing, and well, you're a low level. I'm not even talking. You should leave the video. So I want to talk to this generation that's coming up, especially young people, who God has turned his face towards. And he's saying, I have chosen you. I have chosen you to build my wonders. I have reassigned things. I want to tell you that you need to be boastful in God's power. You need to be so confident in God's strength in your life, in your relationship with him, that you actually are looked at as reckless and ridiculous and foolish and crazy because you are shooting for things and so confident in things that are impossible to happen. That's so many things. You can be totally stripped and lonely and have no family, no friends, and believe that God's called you and God's covered you and that you're going to have a new family and that your family is actually even going to be more powerful and more effective than the family that you lost. I want to speak to people, the young people coming up, who have a burning passion in their spirit to get to know God, to do exploits that anybody right now would think that you've lost your mind. And anybody who's not a Christian, who can feel these words I'm saying burning in your heart, you need to become a Christian as soon as possible so that you can start this process and get to know God like I'm talking about. So many people wonder why I wear these clothes. This is the absolute reason. When I walk into a room, since I'm working for God, I should immediately stand out. I should have the most beautiful tailored clothes ever that actually speak my inner authority and power through God. And this is how he's chosen to express that through my clothes. I should be able to throw my clothes in just in a pile of a million different other jackets. And they should be able to point those clothes, my jacket out amongst 10 million. Because I work for the God of the universe. That's how it should be. I refuse to wear all these things and go with popular culture. I'm not going to be doing that. I'm talking to trailblazers. I'm talking to people who are actually blazing a path forward with God, and who want to, and who want to follow behind a trailblazer with God so they can blaze their own trails that He actually wants to blaze with them. So it's too powerful to even speak how wonderful. It's just too much. He's too wonderful. This is why God is absolutely not a crutch, and we really should be boasting in His power and glory and awesomeness. This is the last thing I want to say about this is why especially Christian entertainment is about to change big time. And I'm not talking about new movies about Bible times or anything like that. I'm talking about that and beyond everything that anybody's making right now. Because it's time for people to see Christians boast in God's power. He has these commissions in His hand, and He is dumping them down to people who will see Him and believe Him like this, or even just start to think of Him like this. He will be speaking to those people because He loves doing such power through our insignificant, tiny perspective of a human being's life. This is why God doesn't need friends. He wants friends. It makes Him very happy to have friends. He is gracious and loving. And really, we are His children that have a friend, high-level relationship with Him as you grow. This is why He loves that, because He loves manifesting immense power that's never been seen before in the world through things that look insignificant. It gives Him so much pleasure, and that He does consistently. But this generation, these we haven't seen this because people don't want to go through the process and believe Him like this. This is why the new era is dawning. And you will see this. God is absolutely not a crutch. I stand here boasting in His power. Beyond confident, boasting. And you will too. Because it's the best thing for you. And you'll need that. Hail Jehovah.